Good morning, everyone. My name is Veiko Lember. I'm from Ragnar-Nurkse Department of Innovation and Governance here at TalTech. And I'm very happy to welcome you all here to this event that we are having for the second time in a row. This is as the title goes, a student project that focus on some of the most pressing challenges of our modern times, namely how to create green urban space in a modern city context. We have a group of students from the Public Sector Innovation and E-Governance program here at TalTech that have been working together with the City of Tallinn and the Government Innovation team for the past 3 months on some of the ideas and solutions that could be potentially implemented in the future in order to tackle the most pressing challenge of modern times, namely how to preserve the biodiversity in the urban context. And we are very happy that the City of Tallinn is this year the public sector partner to this project. The students were able to work together with the City of Tallinn people and together with the Government Innovation team on a public urban project called Putukaväil, or Pollinator Highway, to put it in English. That is one of the most exciting projects probably in years to come, at least here in Tallinn. Before we start today's seminar, or as the current times require, a webinar, we're going to have it in a very hybrid mode. You're going to see it in a moment. Let me just very briefly also introduce the program where the students are studying. This is a very unique master program that is offered in cooperation with 3 European universities, KU Leuven in Belgium, University of Münster in Germany, and TalTech here in Estonia. As said, this is already a second time that we have this student project in cooperation with Estonian public sector. This is a unique program in a sense that not only students can study in 3 different European countries. They first start in Belgium, then move to Germany, and they then come to Estonia, but also the way we integrate different scholarly disciplines, from social sciences to information systems to ICT, but also the way we combine or attract the students, the way we see them working together in our program. So we have students coming from 16 different countries. It's a group of 28 people having very different backgrounds from social sciences to engineering and also to natural sciences. And they bring not only different ideas from their own fields, but also their experience from almost all continents of the world. So we are very excited to have this event again this year. And as said, we do that in cooperation with the Government Innovation team. And it's my pleasure to give the floor now to Marilyn, who will introduce briefly the project as well as the innovation team.
Hi everyone, I'm very happy to be here as also a graduate from TalTech. I'm going to talk briefly about Public Sector Innovation team and what we did here with the students. I'm Marilyn, and with me we were teaching this class with Helelin and Daniel. And well, the public sector innovation team is formed by 11 ministries, which basically all ministries of Estonia have been part of creating this team. Our aim is to bring new ways of working and tools to public sector and public policy, and by that bring more user centricity to public services. The keywords that we operate by, we put in the center the user, but we also encourage curiosity, storytelling, using data, cooperation. We also encourage people, also students, to be a little bit rebel-minded, and we do it all in a very rapid pace, as probably the students will also reflect. We use as a basis of our processes and the basis of our how we operate and work the British Council's double diamond model. What it looked like throughout this course is as follows. So we translated the double diamond model into weeks of sessions. And very important part between the sessions were also where groups were working together and doing the actual project. So we didn't have that many contact hours, but as teachers and students, but we had a lot of working sessions. We gave the methods, but students did a lot of work. So what we put very much stress on throughout our work in public sector, but also throughout the work we did in this course, is field work. So we sent public servants, but in this case also students, out to experience it themselves, to interview people, to experience the area that they are discovering, take as many pictures, see how people use it, test the initial ideas directly on users, etc. And this is really one of the key elements of what we have also encouraged students to do. This course was somewhat different because we needed to do it fully online due to the COVID situation. So this meant that we needed to do basically everything that usually is done in a group with a lot of post-its in different environments online. We are very happy that students took it very, very intuitively, and there was no problem doing all of this that we usually do face-to-face online. But the situation also created the fact that it was also somewhat tricky to do field work and also test these ideas with users, because I mean, during the COVID situation, who wants to go very close to another person, or you're encouraged not to do that. But also for that, I see that students have found very, very creative solutions, and I think this situation has put us all in the situation that we need to be more creative. So I really hope that the solutions that students propose today will actually be implemented one day. So innovation is an implemented solution. So I'm very excited to hear what the students have come up with.
All right. Thank you, Marilyn. Before we continue, let me now very briefly introduce you some of the rules or housekeeping rules for today's session. Since we are living in a tricky times, we have this hybrid form of a webinar / seminar. We're going to have representatives of the groups here with us in Mektori, introducing their ideas. Each of the group will have 15 minutes to introduce the idea, and this will be followed by 15 minutes of Q&A session. So there will be comments and questions from the stakeholders that have been with us during the project, people from City of Tallinn, as well as questions and comments from the innovation team. And then we're gonna, of course, gonna provide the chance for all the audience that has joined us online to pose their questions and comments online as well. We have different channels where you can follow today's seminar. If you are following this seminar on Facebook, then there is a link that directs you to the WorksUp platform. So in case you would like to propose a question or share a comment, then please to join the WorksUp platform. You can follow all the discussions as well as the video there. You will have the overview of the schedule of today, and there you will find two places where you can sort of see more information. One is you can have details about the groups, but then you also have the Q&A button. So in case you would like to interact with the groups, ask a question or pose a comment, then do go to the Q&A section. You can write up your question there and then press share. Then the question will appear on the platform. This will be seen by all the audience that has joined today. And there you're gonna have a chance to vote about the questions. So please upvote those questions that you see more interesting or more important ones. So we can, in case we're gonna have the luxury problem of having too many questions, we can take first those who have more votes. So this is the house rules. We're gonna have the panel as well with us today, consisting of people from City of Tallinn and the innovation team. As said, they're gonna have the chance to intervene over using their voice. But I will give then floor first to the City of Tallinn after the presentations. And then we're gonna open up the discussion having the questions from the WorksUp platform as well. I hope those rules are clear enough. In case you have questions, of course, feel free to ask or pose the question on WorksUp platform. As said, the link is on the Facebook event page. And now, before we actually start with the first group presentation, we have the honor to share the screen with Mayor of Tallinn, Mr. Mihhail Kõlvart, who is here to give us the opening remarks.
Dear participants of the webinar here in Tallinn and across Europe, when I first heard about the idea of a Pollinator Highway here in Tallinn, a huge 13-kilometer park, it was clear. It's something completely new for our city. After all, nothing similar has ever been done in Tallinn before. And not only in Tallinn, but also in the region. It was and still is an ambitious project, but exactly this kind of ideas and finalizing them allow us to continue to say that Tallinn really is a city where the future is now. The Pollinator Highway represents all that what we wish our city in the future. Cities need to be places where humans and all other species that call urban areas home can thrive. To achieve this, we need a different mindset, new competences, innovative thinking, and cooperation with our partners across the globe. Cooperation here at home, but also cross-border, is the key to getting best results. The program that you have engaged in is a great example of this. You have worked on solving problems and also generated new ideas that would benefit not only the Pollinator Highway, but nearly 500,000 residents of Tallinn. And you have done that from various corners of the world, from Philippines to the United States. Thank you so much. And also a big thank you to TalTech, the partners in Belgium and Germany, and the government innovation team and Erasmus Plus program. But now, let's get on with it. We all really look forward to hearing your ideas. And let me be clear, we will take note of these and use the best to enhance the Pollinator Highway area. It is also worth noting that the highway in development is a pilot area. We hope that by 2030 there will already be a network of these in the city. I wish you a great seminar and hope to welcome you all soon in Tallinn.
Thank you very much to Mr. Mihhail Kõlvart for these nice words. And it seems that we are right on a schedule, so we can actually start now with the more interesting parts of today's webinar. As said, we live in tricky times, and so we are actually here to combine different modes of presentations. And we actually start with the online presentation by Group 1, who will present their ideas and solutions with you. And the floor is yours, Group number 1.
Thank you. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so also good morning, everyone, on behalf of Group 1. I want to start our presentation by asking, what if nature could tell its own story? I'm thrilled to present you today our prototype, Once Up on a Path, that we worked out in the past couple of weeks. We are the Once Up on a Path team, and we are Caroline Palowski from Germany, Ines Holzecker from Austria, Kenneth Jung from Malaysia, Tim Freeling from the Netherlands, Grace Milner from Australia, who will present with me our prototype, and myself, Julia Kirchner from Germany. First of all, I will present you which methods got us to our problem and also to our solution. The problem focused on will be explained next, and followed by the important observations that supported our problem and led us to our solution. And from there on, Grace will take over by presenting you our solution Once Up on a Path, which consists of 3 components: a map, a QR code, and a web application. And we will close our presentation with the suggested next steps to put the solution into action. Okay, so in order to identify the problems and issues regarding green spaces, and especially the Putukaväil in the city of Tallinn, we employed a design thinking approach, as already mentioned. And first of all, over 3 weeks, we had 13 initial semi-structured interviews with citizens of Tallinn. And among the questions, we asked them to describe the last time they went to a green space or a community in Tallinn and what aroused them the most, but also where were pains and where did they have something to complain about. However, due to language barrier, we could not interview everyone, but we were also able to conduct observations. And based on these, we identified 3 personas and created a user journey, which described their emotions before, during, and after a visit to a green space. So for example, we had one persona, which was Alex, which is a family father And one short description of his user journey would be, for example, that he comes home from work and he's really thrilled to go with his family to the park where he drives to by car. And they also have a dog. So therefore he's not he has a downtime when he cannot find a trash bin. However, he's really excited when his kids are starting asking questions about the nature they're surrounded and that they show curiosity. So moving on, as a third step, we identified possible problems and put them in an idea matrix, where we identified their impact and the difficulty of finding a solution. And a difficulty of implementing them. And democratically, we decided on one problem, but I'm going to tell you more about that process later on. Together with the other teams that are also going to present today, we applied the crazy 8 to come up with solutions to each of their problems. So in a limited time, we came up with solutions that are sometimes crazy because of the time pressure, and but that would address the problem. And afterwards, we came together, the Once Upon a Path team, and looked through all the solutions, classified them, and came up with our own solution that we're presenting today. In order to finalize the solution, we did scenario building, where we thought about how to connect the starting point of the user with the end result we're aiming at. And lastly, we prototyped the solutions, which included wireframing for the web application. The prototypes have been tested afterwards with potential users of our solutions, and we use them for test cards. So as said, based on the first round of interviews, we identified the challenge to focus on, which was how might we make Putukaväil more educational for visitors. We came up with this problem after classifying all challenges according to difficulty of implementation and impact. Democratically, we voted on the top 3 problems we want to focus on, which have been accessibility, seasonality, and educations. Users repeatedly mentioned limited reasons to visit the area, such as lack of public transportations or cycling lanes, or that they have the wish to combine visits with education about their surrounding nature, as they find it sad to know such little things about it. So we also discussed the 3 topics with the innovation team and decided together with them to find a solution to educate visitors in the Putukaväil. During the interviews and visits to the community garden, we made 3 important observations. In the community garden, we saw mostly women with their children walking through different beds and explaining them the plants. We can only assume that they did this as they were standing in front of the beds for a long time, and they showed their kids the plants and talked a lot about it. And that was our first inspiration. And during the interviews, we observed also a high curiosity and motivation to learn more about different topics connected to nature. And based on all of this, we came up with our solutions, Once Upon a Path, which will now be presented by Grace.
All right, thanks, Julia. So now I would like to present our group solution in detail, Once Upon a Path. So after our extensive design thinking process and identifying our educational challenge, we came up with a solution that combined education and nature, all on the Putukaväil. So we are proposing an educational web application, allowing users to explore Putukaväil through scannable QR codes on landmarks. And as the path itself is very long and stretches quite a distance in Tallinn, we thought of breaking the path down a little by working with existing landmarks and even new art installations to attract visitors. So in certain parts of the Putukaväil, there would be permanent, short-term, or temporary landmarks or installations or art installations that represent some educational theme in a creative way. And we envisage different themes in different parts of Putukaväil to ensure that it attracts and is educational for a wide range of audiences. And these paths can change according to season or even in collaboration with projects happening at schools, universities, or the Estonian art scene. And I'll briefly introduce the user journey of Once Upon a Path, as well as the 3 prototypes before I discuss them in more detail in the upcoming slides. So firstly, users are exposed to Once Upon a Path through a main map, which would be displayed in several main entrances or access points at the Putukaväil to inform visitors that theme parks exist. Next, users go to a landmark and scan a QR code, which will be placed in plain sight on existing landmarks along the Putukaväil. And this code will open a web application on their smartphone and will begin their educational journey. And through this web application, users can choose paths with an interactive story. And the essence of Once Upon a Path is that users experience new areas of the path and learn more about it in the process. It combines education and nature in the digital age without gluing people to their phones. And to validate our solution, we tested all main parts of the user experience through 3 prototypes: a mock-up map, a QR code with Google Analytics, and a mock web application. The map and QR code are not educational themselves, but serve as crucial support mechanisms for the web application, which is where people will discover Once Upon a Path. So firstly, I would like to talk about the map. So it aims to convince visitors to try the paths and will be placed at different points throughout the Putukaväil. And as you can see, it looks very similar to a typical map you would find at the beginning of a hiking trail. And its goal is to be informative. So both of the Putukaväil in a general sense, as well as alerting curious visitors what there is to do and learn along the site. And while the large body of text in the version you see on the slides is in English, in reality, it would also be provided in Estonian and Russian. The key and headings are all in the 3 languages to ensure that it is inclusive for many of the people who live in Tallinn. And as an example, we've included here paths on bees, nature, and art. And again, in reality, these would change seasonally perhaps, and the material of the map would allow for small text changes to be made while the paths remain the same. We conducted user feedback on the map, and our initial version was received really well with some minor changes proposed. So adjustments included putting a larger map of Tallinn in the bottom right corner, so putting the Putukaväil and its educational tracks into the broader geographic context of Tallinn. And in case facilities were added to the Putukaväil, they should be also added to the map as users specifically requested this. So I'll now move on to the QR code. So for this prototype, we simulated the QR codes which would facilitate the interactive component of the solution. Our prototype involved the creation of a QR code poster and set it up in a frequently visited area of Putukaväil, the Pelguaid Community Garden, and we did this 1 week ago. So the QR code links to a website embedded with Google Analytics, and additionally a survey was attached to the site to gather additional feedback about the concept. And all materials were designed based on the City of Tallinn's corporate identity to provide assurance to its legitimacy. And so the basic goal of this experiment was to test whether people would be willing to scan a QR code. And this element is a pretty key aspect of our solution. So even though we didn't have specific landmarks or art pieces in the Putukaväil to place QR codes on, we still felt that it was really important to test people's willingness to engage. And we got some really promising results. So the stats of today are actually higher than what we currently have on our slides. The QR code has been scanned by more than 35 curious citizens in the last week. And what is even more interesting is that around 50% of them took the time to engage further with the code and answer a short survey. And as a result, we have gathered insights such as the fact that most users engaging with our QR code were indeed parents under the age of 40. And additionally, they indicated that the perception of legitimacy was an important factor in engaging with the QR code, and that more information about the codes in later iterations would drive up engagement rates. So our experiment with the QR codes and validated with Google Analytics shows that a promising proportion of users are willing to engage with QR codes. And we predict that if these QR codes are on landmarks or art installations, uptake and engagement is only going to increase. And this now brings us to the web application. So Once Upon a Path is the educational component of our solution and aims to provide information about each station along the paths. And of course, this application is just the digital tool that will accompany engaging landmarks and art installations along the Putukaväil. And these are obviously not there at the moment, so we were able to be creative in brainstorming what themes might be interesting to shape the paths around. The web application provides information on each station to the user, ensuring accessibility through a read out loud function and videos. So accessibility is really important to us, and we didn't want any user excluded who, for example, might live with a hearing or vision impairment. And we would also suggest that there be braille signs at the landmarks themselves. The application will also present an overview of available and upcoming paths and display directions to each of the stations. And also the application would be available in English, Russian, and Estonian. But however, our prototype is only in English because unfortunately we do not have any Estonian or Russian speakers in our group. We created the application using a software called Figma and conducted user testing on our first version to check for bugs and also obtain user feedback. And users were very satisfied with our idea and showed a lot of excitement, which we were super pleased about. And the process also allowed us to identify minor bugs. And the main adjustments were changing the color of the logo, changing the look of the home button, and also several wording changes. So I would now like to invite anyone who is interested to engage with our prototype themselves. So if you scan the QR code on the screen on the slides, you will be taken to our prototype on Figma. And please note again that it's only available in English and that the bees path is currently the only active path. And we are aware that the map application is a little confusing because in a prototype, we are unable to have anything that moves. And our idea was that your location would be signified by the bee icon and it would move as you move, showing you where you are on the map and how to get to the next station. And all of the bee facts are taken from expert sources such as National Geographic, and you can see the source on the prototype. And please feel free to play around with it and let us know what you think in the comments. And on the slides, you can see some screenshots of the application, including its homepage, the upcoming paths, the map with the bee path, and the first bee lesson. And as you can see, the bee path is very much targeted towards children, but as stated, we would encourage a range of paths with lessons targeted towards different groups of people. So in terms of next steps, we wanted to make sure with our solution, we weren't detracting from nature, and we didn't want people visiting Putukaväil only to stare at their phones the whole time. So our prototype is very simple, encouraging brief digital engagement while enjoying surrounding nature. And we have a variety of next steps to pursue, both for our overall concept and the web application. And we want to create engaging and educational stories behind the paths. So ideally, they would be co-produced with the community. And we even discussed a choose your own story option instead of the linear paths we currently have. And so we also have to decide on the paths themselves, which would be permanent, and then to decide on the landmarks that will play a role in the stories, as well as identifying placement areas for the QR codes and the map. So we also need to finalize the web application, as well as generate, connect, and distribute QR codes. And additionally, we would propose that the application should connect to Tallinn's public transport website so that people can get home safely and sustainably. And yeah, that concludes our presentation for Once Upon a Path. And on behalf of Group 1, I would like to sincerely thank the Government Innovation Team, so Marilyn, Helen, and Daniel at the City of Tallinn for engaging with TalTech to facilitate this project. So it was a hugely positive learning experience for us, because not only did we learn a great deal about design thinking methodologies and prototyping, we were also able to engage in Estonian culture in a really deep and meaningful way. And of course, get to know Tallinn a little better. And I would also like to thank staff at the Ragnar Nurse department at TalTech for supporting and guiding us through the project. So particularly Vaiko, Anu, Palasha, and Louisa. So I hope you enjoyed our presentation and the rest of the team are ready to answer your questions.
All right. Thank you very much for this really nice presentation. It was very easy to follow, and I hope that we can now have some quick follow-up questions and comments from the audience, but we would like to begin with City of Tallinn people. So Anu and your team, would you like to go first?
Hello, good morning from my side. Thank you for the presentation. It was a really good presentation, I think, and gave me a lot of thoughts. And one question is about co-producing the path. You said that you would like to see community and school projects also like thinking about the possible paths, but how do you see it? Should there be some kind of central moderator or administrator who looks the path, or they are just like self-organizing? So how you can validate the content?
I can say a few words for this question. So what we thought about was that the city of Tallinn would obviously centrally moderate the paths they would want to create. It would be more of seeking input for the content. So in case it was decided to have a new seasonally changing path, it would be an option to cooperate with universities or schools for certain aspects of that. One idea we had at the beginning, and that obviously we didn't take farther, but it could be possible to cooperate with architectural schools to actually create art installations or like school projects, so that children in primary school could actually write stories for the web application to be included as one of the seasonal changes. So that was something we thought about. But yeah, obviously there would be some kind of central team coordinating that, so it makes sense altogether. Maybe similar to the project we just did this semester.
Okay, thank you. Another question regards QR codes. I understand that you also tested the prototype and it really gave very good and positive results, but did you consider some other method, alternatives to QR codes?
Hi, Anu. I'll take this question. It was actually really fun to kind of test out take this prototype as an experiment, so to speak. But your question specifically on whether or not you could use just QR codes or anything else. One thing we want to do, at least for this prototype, was be able to test out whether or not people were interested in doing and experiencing something like this. And it's really cool to be able to see down to individual metrics like what type of OS did they use, where did they scroll up until. And this is only possible if we are allowed to use a more technological type of enabler to it. Yes, definitely having physical type of explanations about the path as well as directions in a small poster to landmarks that they can go to would be more accessible to many more people. But in this new digital age, with like how amazingly amazingly IT enabled Tallinn is, we want to be able to have this type of solution that's scalable and updatable in the future. And we will be able to use this in order to fine tune and iterate the solution as it goes on so that it stands the test of time. So definitely other mediums are possible, but we feel that a technological enabler is much more valuable in this particular situation.
Thank you for that. Anu, Tallinn team, do you have a follow-up question or comment to make?
I'm Kaidi from the Tallinn team. I'm an architect, and I think one of the key questions when building web applications or mobile applications is the question how to keep people engaged on a regular basis. So it's maybe not a question, rather a comment that a cool way to keep people engaged on a regular basis is to add a competitive aspect to this app. So maybe if you visit different sites on the trail, you gather points or you can measure distances. So it's kind of a sports app. So I think there are really cool ways to take this idea further.
Would you like to reflect on that, team number one?
Yes, I could say something about this. So one of the reasons why you actually also chose to do QR codes and choose for an online web application is in order to be able to change the content on the application and off the paths. So yeah, it's obviously hard if you have a limited amount of paths to keep people engaged. At a certain point, people have done all the paths. So thinking about or using an online application will actually allow us to change the different paths to have different kinds of stories, also based on seasons. And that's also what will allow us to have a competitive element, for example, in schools, where you could have competitions for children to write their own story about the Putukaväil or about nature and have their story featured on one's I think is my internet connection still?
You're back now. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I think we need to move on, and we can later, of course, talk about this after the seminar. Some of the issues, and I think one of the results of the good results of the seminar could really be that we actually leave with more questions from the seminar than answers. All right. I would now like to give the floor to the innovation team. Helelin or Daniel, would you like to have a quick question or comment?
Yes. Hi, it's from Helelin. Thank you for a very well structured and very professional presentation. My question, which perhaps you could later answer to, is how did you carry out the testing? And what was the effect of observing people as well as testing your ideas directly with people? In general, my feedback to the project is I like the accessibility of it in a sense that I think sort of being able to access every single QR point that comes your way is a way to attract people. Compared to having to just start out at point one and having to follow like a specific route. So in that sense, I think catching the attention on every single random place around the area would be very positive, and would also potentially draw people to the area that are not so well acquainted with it. So, but yes, my question is the value of interacting and the value of testing.
Maybe I can give an answer to that. One of the questions was, how did we do it? How did we test it? So first of all, we already elaborated on the QR code, how we tested that. The second part was were interviews with people we had already interviewed to get to our problem statement. And we showed them first the map. Ask them, what do you see? Do you know what it's about? Is there anything missing for you? Any information you don't have? And then the second part was we showed them our prototype of the app, and they were able to work on there, to explore everything, to see if it's intuitive, what to do, what to see, if anything is missing. And that's also how we based our further improvements on. So a lot of the improvements were already implemented in the prototype that was presented today. But some parts, of course, we could not implement yet due to time constraints, like connecting it to outside pages and everything. But yeah, this was all taken into account.
Maybe to add on that, we first thought about doing it in the park actually, but due to COVID, we decided to do all the interviews online. And so they shared their screen, and we gave them tasks that they should fulfill, like navigate to the first bee station. And it was really interesting because when you design like the mock-up type, you think everything is intuitive, and then you see actually people behaving and like looking for the things and what, how they are behaving in the environment of the web application.
All right. Thanks for this. Marilyn, Daniel, would like to?
Well, I have one question. I mean, if I think about being a user myself and going to Putukaväil, then honestly, it's my way to escape screens, to get away from my computer, get away from my phone, etc. Have you thought what the user experience would be without the screen. Is there any way of getting this experience without using a cell phone or a screen?
Hi, I can take this. So that's actually a great question. And I think Grace has kind of like explored this particular concept in a more detail, in the sense that we did not want to subtract from the beauty and the serenity of nature while you're going through it. So of course, there's a couple of options that you can do. You can have limited screen time where you just scan and have the application explain the particular landmarks as it is enabled for audioly hearing impaired individuals. You could take advantage of that option and treat Putukaväil and Once Upon a Path as more of an audio guide sort of experience, an olfactory type of experience, where you can kind of just close your eyes and wander around and, you know, just experience the story just through your mind and through your eyes. So that's a way you could actually take the best of both worlds, having a technology-enabled exploration of a story tale within Putukaväil.
Yeah, and if I could really quickly add on to that, so yeah, like everything Kenneth just said, like yeah, for sure, like there's many options. It doesn't necessarily just have to be reading off a screen, but of course there's definitely the opportunity to create like even like a non-technological version of this, and we really wanted to, I guess, capitalize on Estonia's digitalization reputation, but yeah, like you could definitely just do basic things such as having explanatory signs at the landmark to so with or without the QR codes, or then even I guess like hiking, a hiking path sort of thing where you indicate like, you know, maybe different colors or different icons for different paths. And again, these could either complement the web application or QR codes, or could be done without it.
All right. Thanks for this. We also have a question on the workshop platform, and this is a more technical one. And as you can see, the question is about whether your idea could be actually merged or used together with some of the existing applications that City of Tallinn has, for example, City Nature application. Did you consider the interoperability aspects with your project? This, of course, might be something again that the group can think after the project. But if you have any quick reactions to that,
maybe I can. Oh, maybe I can say something. Of course, we also thought about interoperability because. As we stated with the public transportation, it's the same. There needs to be an aspect of interoperability, and I think that's a great idea that is put forward. We did not consider this specific application yet, but I think for future steps that this would definitely enrich both projects, I think.
All right. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, our time is up, but as said, I hope the discussion sparked questions for the future as well. Thank you, Group 1. And now it's time to move on, and I would like to give the floor now to the Group number 2.
Hello everyone, I'm Stefan, and together with my fellow colleague Isidora, I will present our project Green Stories, See Your Love Grow Like a Tree. But before starting, I would like to ask you if you have ever, in any time, carved the tree like this. If you didn't, that means that this is you're gonna do probably in the future, but digitally. And if you did, that means that you're gonna have a great journey. So this is our agenda for today. Firstly, I will introduce you the challenge. After our challenge, I will introduce you the fieldwork, how did we present it, and came to our solution to the challenge. After our challenge, we'll present the ideation, and my colleague Isidora will present the prototype. So our challenge for this project is the community engagement and green lifestyles in the urban space. So to solve this challenge and to find a solution for this challenge, we needed to understand the context. And what we did the fieldwork. We wanted to get to know the environment and the people. So we understand the context, how to solve and how to engage more people in Putukaväil and in Tallinn. And we did observations. In the observations, we wanted to ask the question, how can we engage more people with the rider? So, and in the observations, we have seen commuters, the passengers, people who are doing sports, that are running, biking, and people who are just passing by, but they don't stay. And these are the examples of our observation in observation time. And for instance, here you can see the date, and here you can see the pictures we have taken during our observation. Also, as you can see in these pictures, you can see that the people are not staying and walking, maybe due to the weather conditions, time, but as you can see, there are a lot of sports, but usually there are not a lot of people in these areas. Also, next to the observations, we did interviews, and we talked to pedestrians and the gardeners who had urban gardens in the city of Tallinn, and we conducted in total 24 interviews. And we came to the conclusion that they really care about biodiversity and green spaces, and also about the functionality of these places and of this corridor in Putukaväil. So after finding out the interviews and what we did and observed all the people, we created the personas. We defined our personas and the user journeys, and we created two personas who would be very interesting and who are presenting these interviews and observations. One of them is Lisa, who is very functionally oriented. She really cares about having functional public infrastructure, such as toilets, benches, sports equipment, workstation, and lights. And Tina. Tina is 47 years old, for instance, and she really likes purposeful engagement with community. She enjoys alone time, but as well, she likes to spend her time with the family and around nature, and as well as community activities for good causes, like community gardening or urban gardening, as before mentioned. And we wanted to engage these people to come more often and to be involved and engaged within the Putukaväil. So, as I said, our objective is we wanted to communicate what people can do in Putukaväil and engage more people to visit this area. So, for our ideation, we found out that the trees are the protagonists of Putukaväil. So we wanted to test our idea, and as you can see, we have found, for all Estonians in here, we have found this book. If you don't know, it's Deep in the Forest, and it says 100 Estonian fairy tales about the forest and its people. It is a very interesting book, and a warm welcome to read to your children or even you. So for our ideas, how do we engage and how do we achieve this objective, our team of 6 people conducted a brainstorming session. And each of us created one user journey creation. After our user journey creation, we discussed our ideas, and we picked each idea that we think would be the best for our objective, to achieve our objective and solve our challenge. And also we have tested our idea, whether it's good or not, with citizens of Tallinn. And with this idea testing, we have, for instance, posted these QR-triggered questionnaires on the trees. And we asked them what they think about adopting a tree in the park of Tallinn. They could say yes, no, maybe. And also if they would like to share their stories and listen to other people's stories, as well as Estonian fairy tales I mentioned before. At the end, we asked them if they would like to have access a digital map that shows you all relevant public infrastructure in Putukaväil. So we got results from 22 respondents, and some feedbacks are very interesting, such as who is going to listen to my story. And I'm surprised I can access QR code with my smartphone camera, because a lot of people are not still aware that with Android smartphone camera, iPhone smartphone camera, they can access the QR code without application. And they also think that the idea is cool. What is really important is that we have got more than 70% of respondents who are saying that they would love to adopt a tree. That sounds very interesting for them. So for our final idea, we had started thinking of, for instance, the initiative where you can give a name to some star in the galaxy. And that is really engagement to the galaxy, and it seems like it's yours. And just imagine how great would it be if you can give the full story and your family tree to real existing tree in Putukaväil. And also just imagine that your dog will have some really, everyone can see what your dog was doing and what's your history of your dog while he was growing up. So this is all from my side, and now I will give the floor to Isidora to present the final idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Stefan. Hi, everyone. My name is Isidora, and I'm here to present to you our final idea and prototype. So we first decided to do a streamline of the processes we wanted to include in the app. So we designed a business process diagram using BPM language, and this allowed us to see all the key interfaces that we needed to design and include in our prototype. Then, of course, we did some prototype testing. We asked for the user experience of 7 in total users, including male and female, Estonians and expats, and all between the ages of 23 and 45, also aiming to our target group and the personas we had identified. And this user experience testing allows us to get some valuable input to improve our prototype. For example, we got to adjust the colors, streamline the workflow, include privacy settings, and also improve certain functionalities like the recording and the notification and nudging functionality. So without giving you more, I here present to you our prototype for Green Stories. We first start with the onboarding. We decided to include a small game consisting of a 4 pieces puzzle. This puzzle is made out of a picture of an Estonian landscape. And this has the purpose of immediately engaging the user into the feeling of awareness of the local natural beauty. So after solving the puzzle, we get to the Start button. By pressing the Start button, we access the basic functionality of our app, and this is the map. With the map, we allow the user to navigate the whole area of Putukaväil and see where are the key public infrastructures. Like, for example, I could walk around the Putukaväil area and look for benches, public toilets, playground areas, or community gardens, for example. But also, I could search for lonely trees and adopted trees, which is the key functionality for our app. So what does this mean? So let's say, for example, I'm walking in the Putukaväil area, and I see that there is a lonely tree or an adopted tree nearby. So I walk over there, and I would see a small plaque made out of wood or metal with a QR code printed in it. So by pressing in the small QR symbol over here in the bottom of the screen, I could read and scan the code of the tree. So for example, if it is a lonely tree, the scan code would turn green. If it is an adopted tree, the scan code would turn pink. Let's say, for example, I approach a lonely tree with a green code. Then the app would allow me to explore 2 different paths. First, I would be allowed to listen to a fairy tale story, traditional from Estonia, by pressing this small icon over here, and adopt a tree. If I decide to only listen to the fairy tale story, I could listen to the fairy tale story, enjoy, and continue with my journey. If I other way decide to adopt the tree, then I press on adopt, and I will choose whether I'm adopting the tree for me or as a gift, and also choose my profile. As you can see on the slide, we have developed 3 choices to adopting a tree. You can adopt a tree as a couple, as a family, or as a group of friends. Like, for example, a whole cohort of Pioneer could adopt a tree. Then, by choosing our profile, if I, for example, choose as a family, I can name the tree and personalize it. I can give it a name, I can start adding the members of my family, I can upload our family history in a recording, and also I can upload pictures and share it with members of my family who would also may want to add some stories. Whenever I visit the tree again, I will no longer see it as a lonely tree, but as an adopted tree, therefore in pink. The tree will ask me to identify myself as an adopter by fingerprint recognition, and then I could access and immediately start updating my tree. Like, for example, uploading new stories, uploading new pictures, or maybe adding a new family member, who knows? Let's say, for example, in the beginning, I approach an adopted tree, but not for me, but for other people. Then I would ask to access as a visiting person. If I access as a visiting person, then depending on the privacy settings set by the adopter, I would be able to hear or see more of the personal stories of the adopter. Or I could just listen to the fairy tale story initially recorded in the tree. Then I could close the app by going to the upper corner and going back to the maps, or close the app and go to this. The app would immediately nudge me to come and visit more regularly my tree. For us, visiting the tree is a small gesture that shows that you care about this little piece of memory that you left saved in a tree, in a friend from nature. If we think about it, the stories saved in the memory of the tree can get prolonged through generations. And thus we think that Green Stories is a great contribution to Estonia's natural and historical patrimony. Without keeping you more, this was our presentation. I invite you to test our app by scanning the code in the screen with your smartphone cameras. And of course, ask us as many questions as you want. We will be happy to answer them. Carve your digital heart.
All right, thank you very much for this presentation. And I would now open up the floor. First, again, to the Tallinn team. Anu and your team, would you like to share your first comments or questions?
Hello, yes, thank you. Really, really nice presentation. And I would like to ask, how many trees there are next to Putukaväil? Is there enough for everybody? Because I was already thinking that yesterday my very good friend had a birthday, and if I could adopt a tree for her, it was like a fantastic gift, I think. So when you launch this campaign, maybe there will be like a huge run and kind of a huge sale. Everybody wants to adopt.
I can take this question. When we're doing the idea prototyping, we also consider about this, and it's not just about adopting a existing tree. We can also plant a new tree. But one of our ideation is that maybe we can promote this when people get married or a new baby is born. In the document from the government, city government, they can add this option of growing a new tree and to memorize your new relationship or something like that. So that can be the option that we can also plant a new tree or new vegetable or new garden.
Would you like to add?
Just as Alice said, see your love grow like a tree. So you can grow the tree and then you see your love in the future on that. So that's all I can add.
All right. Any follow-up questions or comments from Tallinn?
I guess one of the key question is how does a tree benefit from being adopted, or how does nature benefit from it? Or do the people who adopt trees actually in some ways contribute to the maintenance of the trees, or how does it, is there a bigger picture behind it than just owning a tree?
Great question.
If anyone else from the group try.
Anyone from the team who are not present?
Yeah, I can answer this question. Well, the first idea was to motivate people to come to the nature with adapting the tree. And we got feedback from the people, and they mostly were concerned about the maintenance of the tree. Actually, they asked if I can go and like water the tree, or what I can, how can I take care of the tree? So I think this is a very good idea for people to engage with the nature and to go back to their tree and take care of it, I think.
And I can add some more. Some of the Estonians that take the test also asked that, and the trees can grow by themselves really well in Estonia. Why we need to adopt a tree? Do we need to take care of that? So I think the idea is that if you want to decorate the tree, or you want to water or take care of the tree, you can choose to do that. Or otherwise, the QR code itself is also need to be maintained. So our initial idea is that maybe we will have a group of volunteers to do the maintenance, mostly about the QR code, because we thought that the trees can grow happily in Estonia by themselves. But if you want to, the people who adopted the tree wanted to make their tree prettier or more healthier, they can do their maintenance by themselves too.
All right, thanks. The Tallinn team would like to have any other questions or comments?
Yeah, hello. This is Anne-Mari from Tallinn team. And first of all, what a great project and what a great idea. I would really like to start implementing it already. It just sounds so cool, especially the idea that when a baby is born or you get married, you can plant a tree and watch it grow. It's such a great idea. Congratulations on it. I also thought that it's kind of also, I think it's even more about raising awareness about nature and make people think about that we need to have trees in cities as well, and we need to have greeneries and so on. So I think since the case of raising awareness is such an important thing, even just for that, it is so important. So yes, definitely. Anu, we will do it. Yes. Thank you. I didn't have a question. I just wanted to say such an awesome project.
Yes, I think I can add. I think the same, and I can already imagine also the little forest of apple trees or prunes or pears or something like this. So yeah, it will have also added value. You can have the crops from there.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. So the innovation team, I would offer the screen to you now. Helen or Daniel would like to have a question or comment.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you for the presentation. From Tallinn city's reactions, I see there is a great threat that people will rush out and start planting trees everywhere. So perhaps that is something also to consider. There is, for example, the rituals with putting the locks on bridges in Estonia when you get married, or there are other rituals related to weddings in other countries as well. I think it would be interesting if an idea like yours takes off. Will there be sort of sort of uncontrollable planting all over Putukaväil, or where this could potentially lead to? But I think the threat is perhaps not there. But I think the value of your special relationship for people with certain areas, and also with being able to sort of make one location in the area as if your own, or like a special relationship I have with it. And I think that's a good idea, because in general, like pieces of forests or parks, these are just very sort of anonymous places. You don't have a special location in there. And I think it would be an interesting idea really to test it out. I don't know how well the digital stories would take off. So that's really my sort of hesitation for the moment, and it's very likely also for the privacy issues that some of your users brought out, but also of people being consistently sort of nudged or triggered or motivated to upload content. So I don't know how long that idea would sort of work and for which people. Perhaps it would work for certain user types and like a group of friends perhaps, but maybe less for other people. I don't know. Sort of, but I guess the question is also what happens when a relationship ends? For example, if the marriage ends, what happens to the tree?
So, can I?
Sure.
So, for the second part of the question of it's specific for one group of people, indeed, we tried to have a creation that is not one size fits all. So we picked each, as I said, user journeys for this project. And for the privacy issues, also we have considered that, and this is what, if we want to develop more in future this project, we would like to take into the consideration. And also, I believe we will develop deep privacy issues by the General Data Protection Regulation. And also, if anyone else from my group wants to add in addition to this.
Yes, I would like to say something. Even with the privacy issues about sharing with other people your personal life stories and love stories, I think even if you don't share, it is like kind of a time capsule. So you keep it for yourself, for your family, for your group of friends, and among you, you can share it between you and develop and prolong it through generations. So even if the privacy issues become a problem, we still have something that could attract people and engage people personally with the tree.
Anyone from the group?
Yeah, to add that, what happens when the relationship ends, the tree will become lonely again and all the data can be chosen to delete or just leave it there and just forgotten. But maybe the tree will be orphaned again. That is the most important. And even though the old memories might still be there, but they will not be seen by the new adopter.
All right. Helen, Daniel, any other comments or questions?
No, not from my side. Thank you.
All right. I actually have a question myself as well. So in a way, this is a case of what has become known as digital co-production. So residents help to create and maintain a city that they would like to have. And digital solutions in between these relationships are known as enabling very quick and easy engagement. But the problem usually that the research shows is that they get tired of that. So how would you make sure that residents, wouldn't become bored or tired of what they do, so that they wouldn't abandon a new apple tree that was just planted?
So maybe Anna or the answer for this question is that, as we said in the presentation, this is not just an application that is for adopting the tree. So this application also has other functionality as a map where you can see other functionalities of the Putukaväil. So it is similar to Google Maps, and we have an idea that we should use API from the Google for Google Maps and to create this and to integrate in the existing applications, for instance, of the city of Tallinn. So it should be maybe integrated in the application and be more functional, so you can have many options as, for instance, adopting to see lonely or to find any functionalities in the Putukaväil. So that can be an option how to engage them more.
And also, if I may add, if people get tired of the digital interface or the digital interaction, we can also organize from time to time events. So to connect the stories of the local people and also maybe to search for fairy tale stories engraved in the trees, or maybe for Halloween, scary stories could get recorded in the trees, and so events are part of the things that we can do with this.
Perhaps, can I add something, Beiko?
Sure.
Hi, good morning, especially for me. So in my mind, it would be nice, like if it happens like the locks in bridges, like in Paris, that there is that many people that adopt, that more people will be waiting for adopting trees. So even if somebody, like if you get tired of it, there will be more people willing to adopt a tree. It's just like putting a lock because it's a memory that you're gonna keep forever. So in our minds, that's what should happen. Like there will always be trees, and that's one of the questions. What would happen if we have enough trees? Well, we hope that at some point we will not have enough trees and we will have to plant more trees, and there will be people waiting for adopting trees. I think that would be the awesome part of it.
Yeah, I would also like to add that this digital interface is just the mean to bring people there. So if you want to record the story, you have to go to the park and scan the tree. So maybe you will meet the neighbor tree's adopter or so. So eventually, it's not really just an online solution. We hope that a community can be built and people can really talk to each other in the park rather than just listen to the trees or something. So that is what we dreamed, not just something beyond the digital app.
All right. Thank you very much for that. And thank you, Pablo, for joining us as well. Since we are actually since we have participants and presenters across the globe being present today, in spite of COVID, this is a great moment to actually make use of the digital opportunities that we have. So we live in a different time zones in parallel these days. Unless there are no final comments or questions from the teams of Tallinn or innovation team, then probably no. Then we have now the chance for a small break. Go and stretch your legs, grab a coffee, and we shall reconvene at 20 minutes past 10 Tallinn time. So in 12 minutes.
Thank you.
Welcome back to our today's webinar. We are happy to continue. Just before we start, let me remind you that for those who would like to interact with the presenters, please use the Workshop platform. You'll find the link on the Facebook page, where you can then pose questions and comments to the groups. But right now, I would now like to give the floor to group number 3.
Good morning, everyone. I'm here. My name is Georgia, and I'm here on behalf of Group 3. This is my colleague Matthias, and our group consists of Nia, Lisa, Victor, Davide, and us, of course. And we are here to present to you our project proposal called Putukaväil Taru, the best place to be. You're probably wondering what Taru means. That's beehive in Estonian for the non-Estonian speakers. And the reason, well, we're gonna find out in a bit. Let me walk you through our agenda for today. First, we're gonna talk about our motivation, how and why we came up with this idea. Then we will present you our proposal. And last but not least, our validation results and why Putukaväil Taru will make a difference.
Thank you. So I just want to talk about how it all started and how we came across these ideas. So first what we did is we conducted 21 different interviews. These were with gardeners, just everyday residents or users of Putukaväil in that area in the park. So we can actually get an understanding of how these people like to utilize the services or the area that's around them. We actually did quite some walking. We walked many kilometers because you can't make a decision on a park without actually being there. So we want to make sure we understand how big the space is, what type of, we can see it really firsthand for ourselves, what we've gotten from our interviews. Then we also visited 5 community gardens across Tallinn, where we were actually able to interact with a lot of the gardeners and ask them many challenges that they faced. After that, we did a very amount of unknown sticky notes that we used to create and develop all the themes from all the research that we developed on a wall, and that from there we could then decide what were the actual challenges that people are facing and concerns and things that they actually wanted to have implemented in the city of Tallinn in Putukaväil. From those themes that we developed, we created 4 personas to develop kind of like a common understanding of who is the everyday users of the park. So we came up with this one question of how can we make Putukaväil more enjoyable for the everyday users? Now, this isn't really a simple question to answer. It might sound, but we had to really do some digging. So what we did is we created personas for an everyday user. This here is Julie. She's 28 years old and an office worker. She likes to live and clean. She likes to pass through the neighborhoods when going to work. She likes to go on walks on the walkway. So these are kind of like the everyday users that we asked from our interviews, and we figured out this is how people normally use Putukaväil. From that, we developed these users to kind of create an understanding of how they want to use the surrounding areas and live in these type of green spaces. So from this, we developed 4 issues that we wanted to address, and these are the themes, which are recreation, shelter, convenience, and safety. And these are actually some of the quotes that we got from the interviews that we did. So, for example, for safety, I wish there were more lights at night. Or, shelters are nice, but they attract unwanted people. As for shelters, you have more comments around the weather, keeping out of the cold or the rain. Recreation is kind of like having green spaces or places to spend time with family and friends, or even just convenience, just a place to charge their phone or to use Wi-Fi. You also have maybe just spots just to sit down. So these are things that we really want to incorporate in how we make our product or our innovation that we want to make the area more enjoyable. So Putukaväil Tartu, the best place to be, and shelter pods for various purposes. So this is really where we came up with our idea of what we want to implement in Putukaväil, and it's these shelter pods. So we came up again with the 4 themes. So with those 4 themes, we said, what are the 4 ways that we can enhance these themes that people want. So with recreation, we decided community engagement spots for barbecues, cinemas, workstations, or for convenience. So sitting areas across the park, making it accessible to all members of society, whether if you're young or older, or if you have a disability. How can we make it that you can actually use these pods? For shelters, we want to make sure it's warm in the winter because it's cold here, and drier the rest of the year because it rains quite a bit. As for safety, we want to really address the issues of having light sources at night to make it more safe and more welcoming, but also having call boxes for the to prevent undesirable people from just sitting around or using these areas. So we actually got this idea and we inspired it from the story pods of Altier Kasteric Buffery, which is an area, which is a person from Toronto. They've developed these across Toronto and the Peel region, where they have pods such as this one you see here in the picture. Now, I'm actually from Toronto, Canada, and this actually kind of relates. I think if it works in Canada, it could definitely work here in Estonia. We have a lot of similarities. It's really cold. We both reach -30 in the wintertime. We both like hockey, and we both also have milk in plastic bags. So I think if it can work in Canada, it will definitely work here as well. So they developed these pods and implemented them across Canada and the Toronto area with light sources at night, the call boxes as well for safety. I've actually seen some of the call boxes that they've used in Canada, but also in areas such as Ottawa, the capital. And these call boxes are very quick. They have cameras on them. They automatically have a police department responding to these areas. So it really ensures that the safety is being brought forth in the area. So that is one of the main reasons that we've incorporated this idea. We think it fits definitely with what it fits in Canada, but it will also be easy to implement here in Tallinn. I'm going to pass on the next slide here to Georgia.
Thank you, Matthias. So we took the main ergonomic feature of this precedent, and we applied it to our case, which is Putukaväil in Estonia. And we thought that actually it would be a great way of bringing the attention of Tallinners to the extraordinary in the ordinary through small-scale projects such as these. And it would actually make it more enjoyable for people who go there on a daily basis or on a weekly basis. On the left side of your screen, you can see how our designs can be easily incorporated in the already published architectural designs of the regeneration of the Green Corridor. So, yeah. The main features of our proposal include, of course, shelter, and that's also through the sustainable materials and green roofing and vertical walls that will be incorporated that also give geothermal, let's say, features, but they also make it more cohesive with the surrounding environment, so they don't look alien, let's say, in the area. They are mobile, so you can take them anytime and move them at any place within the Green Corridor. They are accessible by everyone through ramps or braille signs, and there's a booking display outside of each pod. There's also safety features such as emergency push buttons and also the power outlets and the Wi-Fi. So first, our first proposal is the cinema pod. The target group are young adults, families, and educators who want to bring, let's say, their students to the area to show them I don't know, a movie or something that has to do with the environment. The main features, apart from the ones aforementioned, are large screen connectable to personal device wirelessly or through HDMI cable, and of course, internet connection. And here you can see more of our prototypes. Between the seats, as you can see there, there's space for people on wheelchairs to go and sit, and there's also a ramp outside, so yeah, it's accessible to everyone. And it also closes during the night through the sliding doors that we're going to show you later through our other mock-ups. So the second idea is a reading pod, or let's say a nice bench. It's targeted to everyone, of course, and the features are varied seating from benches to stools, lighting, internet connection, electrical outlets. This also closes during the night, and we thought that actually this pod shouldn't be bookable through our booking system because it's for everyone, and yeah, everyone can use it. And these are some more perspectives. And the last proposal we have is a co-working pod. The targeted user group is young professionals, freelancers, and students. And the main features, of course, are internet connection and electrical outlets. And this is how it looks. Like you can see the sockets there. There's also a desk and a bench to sit, and the booking display outside, and also the green roofing. This is actually a diagram of how they close during the night. So as you can see, this becomes like kind of a square, and the cinema pod closes like an oval with sliding doors on each side. And the co-working space closes from like through this door from top to bottom. And this is actually the main and most important feature of our design, because it, let's say, discourages people from misusing the space and also protects it from, let's say, I don't know, any predators or weather or anything during the night. And yeah, I'll give the floor to Matthias.
Thank you. So, you might ask, how do you actually use these pods? Well, you see here we have a booking website. It's a booking system. Is actually what we're going to have is integrated with the Putukaväil website. So the reason being why we want to integrate this is because there's no point in making redundant extra services in another app. It'll make it a lot harder for users to actually go find something else just to access it. But if you already have an already existing service, it will make it a lot easier for users to actually utilize the pods. So as you can see on the left on the slide, you can see type 1 and type 2. So you can select the different type of pods that you want, and then on this also you can click and select the date. So after you select the date, it will tell you if it's available, during what times, and so forth. Afterwards, you'll be able to see on a map, on a Google map, you'll be able to see where all these pods are located across the city of Tallinn. You can then sign up for that specific pod and then use it. So it's on-the-spot booking through the built-in interface. So one thing that's really great about this is as the pods also offer for Wi-Fi, it will make it easier for the users to book it on the spot. You can also use your mobile data, or you can book it from home before, so you don't even have to bring your phone to the place. But to ensure that you can use the pods when you book them, one thing that we've integrated into the system is a code. So once you book it, you'll get a reservation code, a 4-digit code, and once you get there, you'll just put the code in and it will open up. So make sure that you get to use the pods when you want to use them. It's a very important feature. Putukaväil at night. So again, one of the big features that we had to really make sure that we could address was safety. So one thing is that the doors close automatically. So there'll be sensors on the doors to ensure that the doors don't close on the people themselves. And they will close at night to make sure that no unwanted visitors are there at night, as Georgia mentioned. It also adds as an additional large source of light. So this is a really important feature that we believe will really help, because this way you don't have to do all the infrastructure to put in street lamps in the park, because that's a very expensive cost. But if you already have these pods that can have a dual or triple purpose, that actually they can present light at night, and it will save the cost for the city of Tallinn for the infrastructure that it needs. It also has the alarm systems for the user, so a panic button, and it'll connect you to the local police unit or police department, and causes light to flash to gain attention. So you'll have a flashing light that will usually, hopefully, deter anything that's happening if something was to occur. We did do some surveys to see how the people of Tallinn would like this. We published them on different groups online. We shared the links, and from our results, of the questionnaires that we gave, we had 100% of respondents indicated that shelter from the elements and the use for benches is probably the main reason why they would use it. I guess probably because it's cold here and it rains. But the second would be 85.7%, which is respondents indicated light source, Wi-Fi, and charging stations. I think that has to do with a lot of people wanting to, if you look down on the 57.1, wanting to use it to work, so charge their phones or their laptops, but also people just traveling through the parks. I think it really makes it a lot more convenient, and it really adds to the digital aspect that Estonia tries to present. And 57.1% for co-working. From the pod user results, we found that the different functionalities would lead to continuous use. So to prevent people from getting bored and just saying, I don't want to use these pods anymore, because there's multiple different types of pods that can be distributed across the city of Tallinn, it makes it that people will not get bored of them. And also based on the infrastructure, if you develop the pods in a certain diameter and size, you don't need the regulations from the city to implement them. So this actually saves on legal aspects as well. For the users, they would be family, friends, or as a community. Again, it's just the type of people that we are searching for to probably use the pods. But also worries around overcrowding, nuisance, and maintenance were developed in the survey results. One thing that we did, we asked a lot of different questions. Do you think that this would be a good use for funding from the city of Tallinn? Would you use the pods? How would you use the pods? What type of features do you think are missing? And these are the results that we found. And we found that overall, it was a very positive view for the use of pods in Putukaväil. Thank you.
All right? All right. So this is now with the scene with the mask. Forgot to take it off. Thanks for the presentation. And as always, I would now first give the screen or floor to the Tallinn team.
Hey, we are not in the end, but you make me so happy because the ideas are getting better and better. And concerning this board idea, question to the team, did you consider also the existing infrastructure? For example, we have this like huge, numerous garages from 70s. Did you consider to transform these into pods, or you just had the idea to create this specific structure and spread it to the...
If I may answer, well, while we were walking around Putukaväil, we observed and we took pictures of the garages, but we actually realized that they're only in one location. So we came up with this idea of like mobile pods that can be moved around. But yeah, of course, I mean, if the garages are not of any other use, they can be turned into pods of anything from any activity that you can imagine. So yeah.
Anyone else from the group like to respond?
Sure, yes. So I also don't think we're not completely sure how the situation is with these garages. We didn't really contact anyone, or we didn't really have any contacts to look that up. So I think it can be a really interesting opportunity to repurpose them in a community-wise way. But then we should do some research into that, which we haven't yet. Yeah.
Within our city planners team, we had the idea to promote this way of giving alternative use to garages. But I think your idea is maybe even more concrete, and it would be good to promote this to the garage box owners, so they can also see like what can be the alternative use, and maybe it becomes a way of earning money in times of Corona, or if they find the idea good and want to maintain. And
yeah, actually, I think that's actually really cool because you get to use their pre-existing infrastructure. A lot of it might be historic. It really gets people to go to certain areas. But I think one of our when we were developing our idea, we wanted to make sure that the legal reasons for the size and diameter, without the need for permits, but also to incorporate the green atmosphere, right? So that people can really be out in the environment and experience it. I think that's really amazing that when you saw the indication that people want to do co-working from these pods, I think it's great because you get to be there and you get to experience nature at the same time. So you kind of get the dual purpose from that for the user experience.
All right, Anu and team, do you have any follow-up questions, comments?
I have a question to the team. Thanks for the presentation. Did you consider monetizing this as a service, or would you rather think of it as a free public service?
I can answer that one. Maybe I could take it. Hi. No, we did not consider that at any point. Not so far, it didn't come up in our discussions, since we wanted to be as accessible and open to everyone, especially also some of the target groups, like for example, for the cinema pod are more teenagers, and we don't want the monetization issue to be like a hindrance for them to use this public space. And of course, generally believe that Putukaväil and the public spaces and parks should be available for everyone without any extra cost. And if it was the monetization element, there already are paid co-working spaces and paid cinemas and similar activities that you can go and pay for indoors. So yeah, we intend to keep it free.
Thank you. The idea why I was asking this was my first thought that I got from this repurposing the garages, because this could be one way to incentivize the owners of the garages to repurpose the space and use it somehow if they got even maybe a small income from that. But that would be another platform.
Thanks. Would you like to add? No? No, I don't think so. Right. Any other questions from Tallinn or comments? If not, then the innovation team. Marilyn, would you like to add?
I have a question. When it has not been booked, is the pod closed? Does it only open after a booking, or does it stay open all the time?
I could also take this one. Here it's also a bit of a differentiation depending on which pod we're talking about. For example, the co-working pod or the reading pods, some of them don't need to be booked at all and are available to you once you get there. For example, the cinema pod is the one we're considering that, yes, you do need a booking code. But for example, if you go there and you see that nobody's using it, you can just book it on the spot right there and get the code through the interface. So it would be simple. So what we were trying to do is balance these two different type of groups. One who, for example, wants to plan their trip around using it and wants to go through the purpose of using it and wants to guarantee that if they do that, they can use it. But also make sure that in case somebody just passes by and it's not being used by anybody, that you can't use it and it's a hassle or difficult to do. So it depends, of course, for like features, places like the cinema pod, where there is an additional feature that you can unlock, that a kind of added value, then you can get the code. But for others, where it's more for sitting down or for co-working, then it's much more simpler. And though we were also considering that, for example, that could happen, the thing that somebody pre-books a co-working space and then they show up and somebody's there. In reality, also judging from the practices of how it's been in our experiences of booking, like for example, rooms in public spaces, if somebody shows up and says, sorry, I have this place booked, I think 80% of the time you just get up and leave, and it doesn't lead to big confrontation. So maybe we're thinking like we can expect the best of people, and that in general, people manage to share public spaces with relatively little conflict. So we're hoping that's not going to be too major of an issue.
Then I had a short comment about the cinema, and you have a Canadian member in the team. The cinema has a glass ceiling in your prototype, and the small problem we have with this is that during the summers it doesn't get dark in Estonia, but cinemas do require a certain degree of darkness in order to enjoy the movie. So that would be maybe one small comment of something to redesign, perhaps. But also as a feedback to you, my congratulations on choosing a very good word for it and looking up an Estonian word. I think taru really works well. So I hope Tallinn picks this up and can use it in their project.
Sorry, if I may add to what you said about the summertime. We actually thought about glass ceilings in every pod because you can see the light during the night, but during the day we will have shading inside, so you can have like blinds or something that will make it dark, so it won't be a problem for people watching movies. So yeah, thank you.
I also like to compliment you because it got my mind really working. Like in June, we were looking for an open air space where to have group works in the times of COVID. So in that sense, it got me thinking, it would have been a perfect place to sort of book and go and do your group work in that sense, or the service design workshops. But in terms of hockey, just a comment, all the neighboring countries of Estonia are good at hockey. Estonians, for some reasons, are not that into hockey. So just a side comment. And I really love that you used the electric posts or as a way of like a possible idea to integrate the pods. And as we heard from Tallinn, they have been thinking about how to use the garages. So really good one there. And I wanted to ask about the booking system. Did you see how they used the pods in Canada? You said there were similar pods there. Yeah. Did you check what the booking system was, or did you get any ideas from their booking system?
Yeah, if I may answer that, there's actually no booking system for those because they are meant to be booking, like reading pods. So they just open and close they open during daytime and they close during nighttime. But because we thought about the problem of people, let's say, having a dispute on a pod, we thought about incorporating a booking system that would make everything more convenient for people who want to use them. So yeah, that was a feature that we thought that would be important to include.
Thank you.
All right, and to wrap up this session, we have a final comment on the workshop platform as well. So it reads that it could be a good idea to add some places for animals to live on the pods, baits, bees, birds, and so on. But I think we could actually take this as a fine final comment. Thank you very much for your presentation. And it's now time to go for the next presentation.
Thank you.
So it's my pleasure now to share the screen and floor with group number 4. Floor is yours.
Hello, my name is Humberto Beso Huerta. I am from Mexico. I'm representing Group 4. We are conformed of people from India, Bangladesh, Uzbekistan, and Georgia, and well, Mexico too. And we are addressing the challenge of how might we increase citizen engagement in Putukaväil. So, as you have heard already, what is Putukaväil? This is a district, a green corridor. Sorry, this is a green corridor that crosses 6 districts in Tallinn. And what we are approaching is a self-organizing type of initiatives. So we are using a tool for participatory democracy, and we picked Decidim as a tool for making possible to organize, to facilitate organization between citizens, and to gather them in online and in physical meetings, and also facilitate discussions, facilitate voting mechanisms, and implementing decisions. And this is a proposal that we presented because we heard also that our colleagues were presenting really nice initiatives, and the thing is that many times these initiatives are abandoned because the teams have the idea, but then these initiatives need people to keep fostering them, to keep maintaining them. And sometimes governments do not have the resources or time to do this, and that is why this approach is of self-organizing. So if the people has the real like of having these initiatives in their community, they will make them their own, and they will foster them, they will maintain them, they will organize, they will even adjust them to make them happen. That is why we picked this platform, and also another reason why is because it's open source, it's free, and it has been proven in many cities worldwide. For example, in Mexico City, Helsinki, Chetumal, and many other cities in the world, is being used, and it has been awarded by the UN as one of the best public sector innovations, and also by the Join Up in the European Commission. So I will show you how does the platform looks, and so this is a process. This appears in the platform, and you will see that this talks about Putukaväil, but for example, this platform can also be used for other types of communities. So in here you will see that there is a brief description, but in this part is the highlights of what is being decided, who participates, how decisions are being taken, because decisions can change, or types of governance can change from initiative to initiative. If, for example, the initiative comes from the government, then maybe it is not democratic, but just like a consultancy. And also, as you can see, there are types of tabs in here, where you can see that this is the process of Putukaväil, but then we have another type of functions, and also we have other functions that they were not added into this prototype, but you can have conferences, you can have consensus mechanisms, and so on. So just to give you a brief description of this, the blog part is that someone from the community, as we will talk about this in a bit later, can publish things or events that are happening so that people can understand and know what is happening in this community. Then the gathering are the events that are being put there so that people know when is the next meeting. And the debates, we're going to show them, well, first proposals. So the proposals, this is an example of the proposals that my colleagues here have presented. And so citizens can know what are the proposals, can follow them, so that they can receive notifications when there is an update of it. They can also endorse. This means that someone says, hey, I want to be part of this initiative. And this tells the people that this initiative is being taken. This is being owned by the people. So in here, the idea is that all the proposals that are being presented from a bottom-up approach appear. Then on the debates, this can be used for the same initiatives, where there are some questions, as I was listening from the innovation team of Tallinn, that they were saying, hey, but what if we monetize this? Or what if we change the design? So this can happen in this debate, where are open questions, and people can just participate and see, hey, I want to talk about this, and people can say, like, put comments, and then people can also vote comments to look for the most relevant comments, and then like keep the conversation going. Well, finally, I want to tell you about this platform is not the main idea. The main idea is self-organizing. The main idea is gathering people around a community, creating this community, let's say like commoning, when we have a common resource that is Putukaväil, we have a community around it, and we have certain rules. So this platform allows us to have a commons-based peer production of events, of initiatives, and to take common spaces into our own activity. And so that also we become proactive citizens. Instead of waiting for things to happen, we are the change makers, and we can do what we understand will be better for the same community instead of someone else that is out of the community talk about it. So we are out of the city, we are not from the city, so that's why we perform focus group, interviews, and an event that was also for testing this platform. That was the past Sunday. And we had a lot of really interesting feedback from people. And we gathered people that were users of the Putukaväil corridor so that they could say, hey, yes, I like this, and I would like this platform to be shown in certain manner. For example, one feedback was that there should be some smart screens, let's say like in some kilometers, so that people that do not know about the platform can get to know about it, about the events, and can interact with it, and also maybe connect it with the smart ID. So there are certain roles that this community has in order to operate, and these roles are the architect, which is the responsible for determining the goals for the meeting and mediating discussions, because as this is an organic way of organizing, then many people will try to interact at the same time. Even so, the platform allows this filtering. There is the need of someone to take the lead. And this person will seek out opinions and provide subjective responses. So these roles that I'm presenting in this moment are to be taken by trusted members of the community and should also be in a continuous change so that everybody understands what is the load of the responsibility and be more empathetic with this. The other is the communicator. We need some communicators that are the responsible to publish the events, to post the events, to get to know what people is trying to know about the event or the corridor. And other responsibilities are including are building connections, bringing out enthusiasm, motivation, and positive encouragement within the group. So this is very important. Then we have the organizers that are what? Once we have an idea that is being thrown in these assemblies, then the organizers need to get together the right people to make this event happen. These are the ones that are going to be responsible of the logistics and to make the plans, to facilitate the plans with the architect. Then we have the analyst, which is the person or group of persons that go into the platform and see which are the comments that are more relevant, which are the events that, or the initiatives that have been more adopted by the people so that in the assemblies can be the priority to talk about. And also, they will help to take decisions based on data to everyone and not just for the organizers. So this is like horizontal hierarchy. Then I will just show you that this event was made 2 days like in planning, and 33 people was interested, nine of those assisted, and from there we got this feedback. But before we got feedback from the community by going to Putukaväil and by walking it several times from end to start, and the other way around, to see in different times of the day also what people was feeling, was experimenting. And this was something that they were saying that, yes, we feel that our voice is not being heard when we want certain things. And maybe having a way of putting our voice in a bottom-up, in a grassroots approach will help. So is very nice. And also another thing to say is that personally I carried one project of this in Mexico, where it took us around 6 months of preparation for building the community, for training the roles, for building the website, and then interacting and make alliances with government, because this needs to be a 5-helix approach in order that operates. We need that everyone gets involved so that the initiatives carry on. This was just a test, a pilot, and we saw that it was interested for the people. So if the municipality is interested, I really invite that the initiatives that are being carried out, that have been presented right now and that will be presented in the future, can be put in a place that all citizens can also participate, and that they feel that the initiatives are coming from the people and not from political decisions. And well, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Humberto, for this presentation. And as always, I would like to give the screen first to the team of Tallinn.
Thank you, Humberto. I learned about this Decidim platform last time we had the online meeting, and I really understood the difference between Decidim platform and all the other involvement and participation platforms that we have used so far. And I think that it has great potential. It's not been tested. And I have to say we are lucky because in Putukaväil project team, we have citizen participation expert, Mats Laesnuuter, that was commenting the previous idea. And we have the project partner, Stockholm Environmental Institute. And their objective in the project is to research the participation and methods and tools and find the most reasonable and most effective. So now actually I have the idea that our own participation expert and Stockholm Environmental Institute should collaborate to bring this Decidim tool to Helsinki and Tallinn Putukaväil pilot area to gather the ideas and to test this way of participation, this bottom-up approach as well. So thank you for this this platform idea.
Thanks.
Thank you, Anu. Any other comments or reflections from Tallinn? So feel free to intervene as we continue the discussion, but I would now give the screen to Helen and Marilyn.
Thank you, Humberto. Sometimes our projects, when we present the ideas, or our teams do, then the panel jury sometimes asks a question that I'm also asking you now. Where is the innovation?
Yes, where the innovation is in getting people together and self-organizing. Because as we discussed before, there are a lot of platforms, so the innovation is not the platform itself, but gathering these initiatives by and being owned by the people. Because I've seen a lot of initiatives like this that people get together and say, hey, we need to do this and that, but then it's just, they are just abandoned, they are just a presentation, and they are not taken by the people. So the idea here is that the people that is listening to us and other people that are not listening, but they can get to know about this platform, they can also get to know about all the initiatives that have been developed in the past and that will be developed in the future, so that anybody else can take them instead of the entrepreneurs or the ideators of that idea take that and to carry it on. So this is a way of making the people owners of their common space.
I think it's very valuable that you have experience with trying out different formats and different platforms, and that you're sharing the experience, your personal experience from Mexico. There wasn't too much time during the presentation, but perhaps there is time right now during the Q&A form to reflect on how did the testing go. You said that you tested it with several people and you got positive feedback. And how did it go? What kind of people got involved? And did you, from the very initial field work that you did during this course, but also during the later phase when you tested with this idea, do you have any sort of insights on what is the Estonian twist to this participatory format, or how could we make it work?
Yes, so the first thing is that we invited people that were already organizing events. So that was one thing. And then other people that were users of the Putukaväil corridor. We made some personas identification, and we invited one of these people. But also, it is to say that this was very little planned because we had little time for doing this. And as I said, in order to be successful, this needs to be planned with 4 or 6 months in advance, and to also train the people that it is actively willing to take part of it. So this is like street politics. So it's not people that is willing to have a position in politics, but they are willing to change their community for the best. And this is a way for, this is a platform, not as a digital tool, but as a platform to gather community and to make things happen. So for the event that we made, people were saying that they like this, but that they were afraid that the platform will not be known, for example. That's why they proposed having these types of smart screens where they just, like, you just walk, you don't need even your cell phone, you just walk and you see the smart screen, and then you start interacting with it. So you can, for example, one woman said, if I bring my Smart ID, then I can verify myself and I can put a proposal there, or I can vote for a proposal, and maybe also have this interoperability with the platform that the Tallinn government already has, so that everything gets connected, but in this case, proposals comes from the people instead of from the top. Did that answer the question?
All right, thank you for this. Marilyn, would you like to add?
Yes, thank you. I really like that you had the roles thought through, that like what are needed to make this platform happen. But I had a question regarding your field work. Like, what was the key takeaways that from the field work that you did in the gardens and on Putukaväil that you used when developing this solution?
Yes, one thing that we found is language. So many people did not talk English. And also the platform was developed in English, but it has the options to put everything in Estonian, in Russian, and in English, for example. So that is just like to do that. Another thing is that people were saying, yeah, we already like how Putukaväil is, but that depended on the road that we were walking. There were roads that people were really concerned about the noises. So this is why we put also this debate there, so that people can participate. And people, like, they were not saying, I want a new thing, but they were just saying, I don't want to have this. So instead of proposing a new idea, they were saying, I don't want certain things. So this was a good way of just expressing their comments.
If I might add to that, one of the things that when we tried to categorize sort of the issues that we were facing, that we identified, we broadly categorized them into two sort of things. One was broadly infrastructure related, and one was sort of what Humberto was saying, that sort of a miscommunication between among community members. Like someone is saying there is a lot of noise from the bikers, or someone is saying that I don't feel safe because there is no lanes and all that stuff. So what we thought is that from the infrastructure perspective, it's always requiring funding, resources, and a lot of planning, which is of course essential. But what we also thought is that identification of the issues are also of utmost importance, and that also solves the issues that are coming from the communication gap among community members. So yeah, that's why we went with this platform that does community engagement.
Maybe what I was trying to say is that I would have liked to see more of your fieldwork reflected in the final solution, because it was a great platform. It's already in use, and it's proved to be a good one, like in your example in Mexico and in Barcelona, as you said. But what makes it, how do you use it uniquely to Estonia and uniquely to Putukaväil, and how do you connect it to the fieldwork that you did there is something that was a little bit missing for me.
In the presentation,
yes. Thank you.
All right, any other group members would like to share their views on that? Then just let us know. Does the team of Tallinn has any questions? Because we also have 2 questions from the workshop platform. If not, then we can take these 2 comments or questions that we have received so far. So first is, based on your research and pilots, did you find any customizations or localizations specific to Estonia that needs to be done to this platform? And if yes, could you share some of them?
Yes, we asked this in the event that we had on Sunday, that what will be the things that people would like to have in the platform, different that we already have. And they were saying the language. That was the thing that we gathered. But also, as I said, this needs to be done with more time to gather more perspectives, because as you say, this platform needs to be localized, needs to be customized in order that the people adopt it, and that is not just in that template. So that's why I say we need to take more time on this.
Thanks, Umberto.
If anybody from my team?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Anyone would like to add from the team?
Yes, I will add something. I would say that the language barrier was the main concern from the citizens who attended the event. So I will try to kind of sum up this whole thing that Umberto presented. I want to thank him for a great presentation. So what we think is that there are many possibilities for people to engage in the process, to provide their ideas, but this particular platform is unique and valuable because there are no barriers for citizens to involve, and there are no barriers for their ideas to be shown to the public. So what we think is that every idea matters, every citizen matters, and they may have some concerns about their ideas. They may have not that confident about their ideas. So this platform makes it possible to engage more people and to increase the rate of cooperation between citizens. It's kind of real-time platform, and during this pandemic, it has shown us that we need a platform where there will not be many filters, many rules, which can only reduce the rate of engagement of citizens and the rate of collaboration of them. So I think that last event that we created has shown us that if there will be a platform like that for Tallinn citizens, that they will be happy to interact with each other there, because from the very first field work, what I remember was that, yes, they needed some kind of tool that would connect their thoughts and their ideas, and that in the end would create some kind of collaborative initiative, collaborative solution for certain concerns that people from different areas have.
Right, thank you for this. Would like to add?
No, that's great.
And we also have another comment, and I think this is actually a addition to the previous one. So implying on the character of Estonians being introverted, but there is, as the comment goes, but there is a need to find a way to innovate around its introverted public character and still encourage strangers meeting and having great encounters. So in that sense, your idea sort of tries to address this very topic.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yes,
so,
yes. To gather physically in the community, to get benefit from fresh air, to share experiences, even food, I don't know, that make community. This is a platform not for being used like from your house, but as a tool to use in physical gatherings, and also for those people that maybe cannot participate in one specific day, they can still, from their homes, participate, but it is not meant to be completely online, but a mix of. So yes.
Right. I think just a comment from my side as well. I think it's an interesting and I think important idea to actually to experiment with, especially by Tallinn, but also other cities, for many reasons. So one is that, as the COVID-19 crisis showed, we actually need more capabilities to self-organize once, everything again closes down. Yeah. The other thing is, of course, that is not that visible, I think, especially with green urban infrastructure. I mean, the amount of data that we are capable of gathering becomes more and more of a central issue. And, there is a need to understand how to decentralize also these aspects and enable citizens to communicate knowing who actually holds the data and what and how, in which way the data is then being used for further processes. And so in a way, it could be a good opportunity for cities to actually experiment in actually empowering citizens, yes, while actually engaging them, right? So this bottom-up and top-down processes need to come together at some point.
Yeah, proactive citizenry.
Right. With that note, it's we need to close this session. Thanks, Umberto.
Thank you very much.
And now it's time to move on, and we have the last, but of course not the least, presentation. So group number 5, the floor is yours.
Well, good morning, and thank you for this incredible opportunity to work hands-on with the pressing issues that we're facing here in Tallinn. My name is Charlene, and I'm from the United States, and with me is Nino from the Philippines. On behalf of our group, including Sujani from Canada, Olga from Ukraine, and Maria Claudia from Italy, we are very excited to share with you our proposal for the challenge. The key question is, how might we encourage visitors to come to Putukaväil during the winter and autumn seasons? Because here in Estonia, those can be really long. And after going through the design thinking process, our proposed solution incorporates an outdoor treasure hunt game along the Putukaväil path. And this game is known as geocaching. You may be wondering, what exactly is geocaching? Well, here's a short video, and let's take a look.
Geocaching is an any-day, anytime adventure that can take you to amazing and beautiful places, or even just to a place in your town that you've never been before. There are millions of geocaches worldwide. There are probably even some near you right now. Yes, you. To start finding them, just get out your phone or GPS. Go ahead. I'll wait. Then, create a free geocaching account and you're ready to go. The way it works is simple. Just choose the geocache you want to find, then navigate to its location. What you're looking for varies. Geocaches come in different sizes, shapes, and difficulties. Geocaching isn't always easy, so it's okay to get excited when you discover the cache. After finding it, sign the logbook. Trade knickknacks if you want, and log your find online. When you're done, just put the geocache back where you found it, and you're on to the next one. Hey, it's the other way. There's an adventure happening all the time, all around you. Become a part of it at geocaching.com.
Isn't that cool? So geocaching is being played worldwide, and as part of our fieldwork in testing the idea, our group had the pleasure of playing the game ourselves. Following the simple instructions, we downloaded the app and picked a geocache site near us, and we started searching. The app provides hints to the geocache that has been hidden, as well as the kind of geocache that you're looking for. Once you find the geocache, which we did, you log this into the app. I'm the user Tere Scout. And we also wrote this inside the actual logbook that was found in the geocache. So this one in particular is close to Nautica Mall. It's a little outside of the Putukaväil area, but the great news is that there are some geocaches already along the path. So why geocache in the Putukaväil area? Well, first, we believe that this is an activity for all seasons. It can be done in the spring, in the summer, in the winter, and in the fall too. It encourages people to get out and explore the areas surrounding them. There has been also cases where we've heard from some of the geocaching community that high schoolers in the different schools here in Tallinn have already used this app as part of their geography lessons. So they got to go out and explore and learn through this way. Secondly, we wanted visitors to change their routines from not only sightseeing, but actively seeking. And to help with this, we developed special themes made for the Putukaväil as part of IDEA to further promote the different areas and the different landmarks that you can find along the path. And lastly, we believe that we can empower Tallinn's very own geocaching community, which has over 1,000 users, and also welcome new users. The geocaching community has shared some reasons as to why they love to geocache, and aside from discovering new places right in your own neighborhood, it really also allows you to stretch your mental and physical capacity. Some of the geocaches are very creatively hidden, some in places you never thought you would hide yourself. And the clues provided in the app and the app description will really tickle your brain to uncovering the treasure. Not only that, it's also very fun. It's for everyone, for the family, for children, for tourists, for anyone who would be interested in exploring an area. Carol, actually, one of the interviewers, one of the interviewees we had as part of doing this field work, has been geocaching for the past 15 years all over Estonia. And she had also shared with us another case where Estonia has already used this as a tool to further engage people to come visit the different national parks in Estonia. So now Nino will go into the specific themes we made especially for the Putukaväil path.
Thanks, Charlene. Before we reveal our specific concepts or themes for Putukaväil, allow me to define first what is a geocache. So a geocache, in simple terms, this is a hidden container, which the game is actually treasure hunting. So a hidden container that can be found using the GPS coordinates of that location. And the geocaches, or these containers, they come with different sizes and appearance. It could be from large, clear plastic containers to film canisters, or it could be a fake rock just to make it appear not very obvious. And aside from having different sizes and appearance, inside the geocache, you can find a logbook and unique items there. Once you found the container, you can just put your name in the logbook so as to validate and to verify that you actually find the geocache. So what you can see now, these are the actual containers found when you play the geocaching. And moving on to the next slide. So what we did for our team is we wanted to showcase what really is Putukaväil, what really is the Pollinator Highway by having the different thematic geocaching themes. So this is one way of promoting that we think would best promote, would best capture what the pollinator or the green corridor is all about. So of all the themes that we've come up, we chose 3 specific themes, which are biodiversity, urban space and art, and community gardening. So let's discuss the first theme, biodiversity. For this concept, we've come up with a prototype that what if we put biodiversity in a small box? So we call this concept, this geocache, the insect box. And this is one way of promoting the green corridor or the Pollinator Highway, wherein this box features the different insects and pollinators. And the interesting thing about it is, in the summer of 2019, the city of Tallinn conducted a survey of the Pollinator Highway, and they found out that the area is already rich in species and nature. So this is one way of packaging it through the box. And this geocache or container can be hidden in the flower field where these pollinators can be actually found, so in the real area. And another thing is that, well, obviously you cannot put a live insect there because that could be brutal. So we wanted to preserve them in a plastic resin where you could actually see its natural beauty, its natural color. So what I am talking about is this. As you can see, this is what you can find, the treasure in the small box. So what's inside the box is a plastic resin. So it could be 2 things. The one is for the insect or pollinator, and the other one is a specific species of a flower. So there is this one document published by the city of Tallinn where they come up with a different species of flower. And with that flower, it's also has specific pollinators and insects, so they come hand in hand, they come together, and together with this resin, as you can see, so these are really preserved, and you can also find it in the box, the geocaching logbook, for you to write your name. And you might ask, what if geocachers will take this because you can see it's very attractive and this could be a souvenir from playing the game. Maybe one thing that we can do is to attach a string to the plastic to this resin to the box so that it will stay there and other explorers or players will find it there. And another thing is that what's the concept in hiding it? So we wanted to make it very creative, and there's a creativity in hiding the geocaches. As you can see in the first picture, this is a small chop of a wood, and you wouldn't think that there's a treasure in there. But once you find it and you open it, then you can find the insect box in there. And in order to complement what this box is all about, you can read the actual description in the app and what is this all about. So there is the hidden and the found geocache. And this is the first concept on biodiversity. And moving on to the second theme, which is the urban space and art. So we wanted to put creativity inside the geocache. So this will feature the different information about the art gallery. And this gallery is actually can be found in the different borders of the Putukaväil. And there's already an existing smart app called the Avalin Augmented Reality app. So we don't want to duplicate that app, but we wanted to insert a small booklet on how would you want to use the Augmented Reality app. So this is very interesting, like the real adventure complemented by a virtual reality of the gallery. So this is a mix of real and virtual adventure. So this is really test your imagination, and the real excitement begins when you play this geocaching. And another theme that we're thinking of as a proposal is the veggie can. So the veggie can, this contains information about the community garden. So this contains the map of the community garden, not only found in the trail, but as well as the rest of Tallinn. And this contains information about the rental land concept, that you can actually rent one of these gardens and try to be actively involved in gardening. And this will be hidden near the garden areas of Putukaväil. So the question now is, where do we plan to hide these in the trail? So this is the map of Putukaväil. So as you can see that in the Pollinator Highway, for example, the insect box, we wanted to hide it in the Astangu, the pollinator habitat, just to complement the area that this is what we can actually discover there as a treasure. And this insect box could also be found in the pollinator, in the flower village. Or another theme is that in the Pelgu Community Garden, you can actually find the veggie can in there. And another thing is in the art box, you can actually find it in the Teleskivi Creative Center. So this is just 3 of the many geocaches that can be hidden in the Putukaväil. And now, how do we engage, how do we sustain the interest of the players to play the game? First is we wanted to have the social media achievement badges, where this showcase that you actually completed the game by perhaps having a frame in your profile photo or giving an online certificate that is shareable in your social media accounts. And another thing is that we already talked with geopytus.ee. This is the geocaching community here in Estonia, and this is one thing that we're trying to explore. How do we reward the players? And we had an initial talk, maybe by giving them a free pass in a movie or in a museum or in a theater, or it could be a discount coupon from maybe restaurants or participating food stores that could be exchanged with warm meals or warm food, especially during the winter. And another thing is that since we wanted to really implement this, we come up with a partnership plan. So the first partner to be involved is the geopytus.ee, the geocaching community in Tallinn. We also have the geocaching headquarters, which is the main office worldwide, because you cannot just hide a simple geocache. It has to be validated and inspected, and making sure that it's weatherproof and you're not planting a bomb or something, a trap in there. And we also have the Talent Culture Department by extending it not only in Putukaväil but also in different cultural institutions within the city. And also the Tallinn tourism information, not only the active geocachers or the local people in Tallinn, but also the international people that will really bolster up tourism in the city by having this kind of adventure. And another thing is that how do we communicate? How do we market this? How do we promote this game? Because this sounds not familiar to everyone. We came up with a communication plan by targeting active geocachers, students and teachers, as what Charlene mentioned, that teachers incorporate this in their geography class, families, professionals, and even tourists. So why geocaching in winter? Because we wanted to define what is warmth, like the feeling of warmth in going outside. It is not only by having sauna or having a hot chocolate outside, but it also be a feeling of connectedness with other geocachers, to go outside together, talk. And this is kind of therapeutic too, because it kind of help you to stay healthy, like the mental health psychologically during the winter or depressing months. And aside from that, we also have a marketing campaign plan, like tying up with different announcements with the existing Facebook groups, official pages, like the website of the city, partnership with influentials like bloggers or other popular figures in Tallinn, and also like launching and promoting it in special events, just to have a kick-off event that there's existing thematic geocaching in Putukaväil, and also rewarding them with discounts and coupons as we are gamifying this kind of idea. And moving on, so our next steps would be to plan and manage the project triangle, the scope, schedule, and cost. So we wanted to create a project team and also identify who will do what, the roles and responsibilities. Also to plan the cost, who will buy the containers, the geocaches, and to coordinate with sponsors and partners and set timelines and deliverables. So the good thing about our concept is just it's very cheap. We don't need to develop any app because it's already in there. We just wanted to put them, to organize them in one platform where at the same time, it would be the best way to promote Putukaväil in a cost-effective way by giving them the proposal that it can actually be done in minimal cost by maximizing the effective impact of the project. So with this, we thank the Tallinn, TalTech innovation team and the city of Tallinn for giving us this opportunity. And as what we always want to tell everyone, let us explore the world one box at a time. With that, thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Nino and Charlene. As is the routine, I would first give the screen and floor to the city of Tallinn.
I think it's exactly what you said, that it's so cheap and it could be like so effective to bring people to Putukaväil and make them discover the path and the values of the track. So we were having parallelly within our own Putukaväil team the chat in Facebook, like how we could really implement it. And I like the simpleness of this idea, and we will try to implement it.
Thank you for this, Anu. Any other questions or comments from Tallinn?
Well, as Anu mentioned, we see a great collaboration possibility, for example, with the Natural History Museum of Estonia in creating the geocaching points or themes. And yeah, we think it's a great concept. The only thing to worry about is kind of the risk minimization. So when people take over this project, they won't lead people to dangerous places. But otherwise, we think it's great.
Right, thank you. The innovation team would like to share your ideas and reflections.
I think this project is quite feasible in the way that there is an existing community of people who actively run the geocaching community in Estonia, and I think they would be sort of the basis for the project. However, as Tallinn has pointed out, there are many other institutions or collaboration partners that have very high potential use if we want to bring in more themes. And I think this is also a good complement to your team, is to develop further the ideas on how could we bring in more thematic issues or thematic or just general themes into the geocaching activities. The interesting question for me is that geocaching has been a rather niche activity, and it has a very committed, however, a rather small community of people engaged. The question is, how could we bring more people to join if, for example, most of these treasures are so hidden that you cannot see it? So do you sort of see yourself as promoting it with certain campaigns in the area or in the region, so that people would actually even become aware of such opportunities in Putukaväil?
Well, maybe I can take this question. Hello, everyone. So our assumption was like, this is now a niche activity just because just a limited number of people know about it. So that's why in our communication plan, we offered, for example, to launch some kickoff start events just to promote, but also it's about the massive social media campaign. We mentioned a few suggestions, where to post this announcement about this application. First of all, it's about like Tallinn city office and about the Tallinn official website with like a tourist information. Also, we have a list like of suggestions about some other social media groups where we can collaborate and to ask them, hey, please post the announcement about this app, such as like expats in Tallinn and if I'm not mistaken, Erasmus students in Tallinn. So by this, like by cooperation with such groups, like we can inform like a bigger auditorium about this app and like engage them to use it actually. And also it's about, of course, like native advertisements in media. And I'm not speaking about TV because I think it's like extra, not necessary, but I think so far social media and media would be pretty enough just to let people know. And then they can be engaged in using this application.
Thanks. I wanted to say that I think your process or the way that you got here was fascinating, because you started out with exclusive saunas and you ended up with geocaching. So I think you took the opportunity to verify the solutions with Tallinn and each week worked step by step on the problem. So that was really, that's how service design works. So you iterate along the way and you don't really fall in love with the concrete solution, but you work on the problem. So really big thanks for that. And I really loved that you worked on the concept. That you developed a concept and you not that much went into the technical details of how to implement it. So just wondering, maybe one other topic or theme that I would like to see maybe in this game would be the historical part, because the Putukaväil goes through so many different parts of town and they each have their own sort of edge. So how to sort of introduce the, maybe not even historical, but the way this kind of community or the community here lives or something like that. Maybe that's something to add. So, and I downloaded the app last time we spoke, so I'm going geocaching. Thanks.
All right. Thanks for this. City of Tallinn or Helelin, in case you would like to add something, just let us know. If not, we also have a comment on a workshop app by Lennart Lennuk from the Estonian Natural History Museum, and in short it reads that Estonian National History Museum would be interested in the collaboration. And as a postscript, Lennart mentions that, and I mean it's on the all projects. So I guess we all need to remember that. Of course, internet never forgets, so it's there, so it's done. Any other group members would like to add anything that was perhaps left out from the discussion? If not, then thank you very much for your presentation. And we are a bit ahead of the schedule, but that is usually not considered to be a problem these days. So this is actually a nice opportunity to wrap up the whole session. And for that, first I would give the screen and the floor to Marilyn.
First of all, thanks a lot to all of the teams. You did a great job considering that the tricky times we had. You dealt very well with the virtual group work. Even though COVID was out there, you did the user interviews, you did the tests. So really, really well done. You had really great looking presentations, all of you. Also, congratulations for that. And definitely a huge thanks to City of Tallinn, and especially Anu and Kaidi, who were guiding the teams throughout the project. And maybe as a remark, we saw that the groups that took the time with Tallinn to verify their idea actually ended up with concepts that were more feasible, and so I think it's the lesson from here is that really take the time. Use the time that you have. It's not all the time that the project lead or owner is willing to spend that much time and give good feedback along the way. So thanks, Anu, again for doing that. And maybe some key takeaways from all the teams regarding fieldwork and testing. In some groups, we saw no clear link between personas and user journeys reflected in the solution that you presented. So this connection could be made a little stronger, because fieldwork and testing is there for listening to the user and taking the user needs in the center. As I said before, fall in love with the problem and not with the solution. Secondly, maybe in some of the solutions we could have seen more stress on the concept, what the concept could look like, not that much on the technical details or how it will be implemented, whether it will be an app or how the app will exactly look like, but what will be in the app or what will be the story. And on the other hand, also, if we are developing an app, we always need to think about that there's a large number of people that probably will not download an app or cannot download an app. So we need to make these ideas also available for those people. So we always need to think about what would be the analog way of doing these or implementing these ideas. And well, I think that's basically it. Really huge thanks to all of the teams. You had great ideas, you had great presentations, and I hope you will take use of the tips in your next service design projects.
All right, thanks, Marilyn. Just to wrap up also from my side. A lot has been said about the content already, and as I said in the beginning, I think that one of the good indicators to leave the seminar is that if at least some of you now has more questions than answers, then this is actually a good sign. This was a project that lasted for 3 months, so it's a very short period of time. It was a genuine attempt to understand the future of a city, not only from technological viewpoint, but also from the viewpoint of its residents, of the citizens. And I think all the groups added from many different angles to these discussions and debates, and I'm glad that many of the stakeholders and participants already think that these ideas are worth to test out in real life. To conclude, I would like to first thank all the students for your patience, endurance, and your brilliance. I sometimes think that you are the pioneer students are like paratroopers. We fly you in to this small country called Estonia. You arrive, and the next day we actually send you out to do the field work, speaking to people with this strange language that not that many understand. And then you have the COVID situation as well. You needed to work together with a group across the globe, but you did in the end very well. I would like, of course, thank the government innovation team, Helen, Daniel, and Marilyn, for your contributions, for your guidance, and above all, for your optimism that kept us all going as we were progressing. I would, of course, like to thank the city of Tallinn. We had many people from the city with us during this journey. You were wonderful partners, and it was great to play this ping pong with you, and along the side we developed the ideas. I would also like to thank Palvasha and Luisa for providing great assistance throughout the course. You were of great help during the course. Of course, our colleagues from the University of Münster and KU Leuven, I would like to thank you as well for your continued support. I would like to thank the TalTech team, the Mectory team, and the video production team for setting this all up today. And last but not least, all the participants who joined us across the globe, as the data shows. With this note, I would like to conclude the event. Thank you very much, and hope to see you around, and keep safe. Thank you.